Let me just hang on a second. Okay, nope. Just get the news up. Phil, I hope you're going to skip this bit.
And now it's time. I said and now I said it's time. And now for something completely machinima. And now for something completely machinima. And now for something almost entirely, very precisely, but just not exclusively, sort of adjacently, kind of approximately, complete machinima.
Hello, and now for something completely machinima. I'm Damien Valentine, and this week we're going to be discussing the news, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Tracy Harwood and
Hello.
Phil Rice.
Hey there.
Ricky has gone. He is building himself a robot. And I don't know what inspired him to make that, but we look forward, or maybe dread, seeing the results of what he comes up with.
Out of broken doll parts, from what I
that looked
understand.
horrific, I have to say.
Yeah, and we are not joking. That's what he showed us.
Yeah.
All right, so we are here to discuss some news about machinima and the world of machinima and animation and technology. So I do not have a whole lot of stuff, so I'll start with mine because I have one one item to talk about, and I'll get it over with very quickly. The day we're recording this, idSoft, who are famous for Doom and Quake and so many other games, are celebrating their 35th anniversary. And obviously, that had a huge influence on the world of machinima with Doom and Quake. And I thought it's worth mentioning because, they're a big part of the machinima community and why we're all here.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Yeah. I feel like I should have got some cake, but I only found out about it just before we started recording.
Yes.
I'll see I'll find something chocolatey after we've done to celebrate with. All right, so Tracy, how would you like to go first?
Sure. Well, I've only really got one thing that I wanted to touch on, and I'm guessing you're going to jump in with some comments as I talk about this, really. And that's to do with the recent Disney and OpenAI partnership, whereby Disney has licensed its content of characters to OpenAI. I think it's kind of a really interesting development. They claim the partnership is structured to protect creators and avoid unauthorized training on IP. But it would be fair to say that the deal has drawn a lot of apprehension across creative sectors because it highlights broader anxieties about how AI might reshape creative work, rights, compensation, and also control in entertainment. I think one of the biggest copyright controversies in AI today is whether large AI models may lawfully use copyrighted works without permission to train their systems. I think critics are arguing that many models were trained on copyrighted data scraped from the internet without licenses, and the companies themselves are often claiming fair use as a defense. Legal scholars, of course, and the courts haven't yet resolved the key questions about what constitutes infringement versus permissible training, which is, as I said, it's kind of a major unresolved area of copyright law, which is pretty much a global phenomenon at the moment. Instead of fighting in a court or hoping for a favourable judicial ruling about fair use, however, Disney has chosen to license its intellectual property. These are some 200 odd characters, which includes things like Mickey Mouse, Yoda, and whatnot, directly to OpenAI for its use in the Sora AI platform. And it's significant legally because it sidesteps some of the thornier questions about whether AI companies can use copyrighted works without permission for training or generation. It also creates a commercially negotiated licensing model where a rights holder is paid and consents up front rather than trademarks and characters being generated without authorization. And some of the commentators see this as a model that could encourage other rights holders to seek licensing deals with AI platforms rather than fight lawsuits. In other words, Disney's approach moves that debate on because the Disney deal only licenses content with clear legal rights. So it reflects skepticism among rights holders that fair use alone can or should resolve these conflicts. So that's a big deal, I think. Timing matters here, and that's because creatives and unions want clearer compensation mechanisms for the use of their works in AI, beyond just fair use defense, if you like. The Disney deal highlights a path where creators and rights holders can negotiate value rather than relying on these kind of ambiguous kind of legal doctrines. The deal, I think, will serve to shape industry norms on how these AI systems should respect and pay for IP. And I think this has important ramifications for machinima and game-based fan creators as well. One could argue, for example, that it doesn't directly target machinima creators, but what it does do is signal how big IP owners are thinking about control, licensing, and derivative creativity in an AI era. And that's the bit that has ripple potential. Fan works, it's fair to say, are mostly still legal, but only by tolerance, not by right. Most machinima and fan fiction exists in this kind of grey zone. They are technically derivative works under copyright law. They survive because publishers tolerate them or even encourage them, and very few are explicitly licensed unless you're in some kind of creator program. And what this Disney deal does is reinforces a key idea. Rights holders believe their IP has licensing value, even when used creatively or transformatively. That doesn't automatically make fan works illegal, but it strengthens owners' confidence that permission matters. So human-made machinima is still a better proposition than AI-generated content. I think courts and copyright law tend to treat human creativity far more favourably than machine-generated works. And for machinima creators, you've got to remember you're choosing the shots, you're writing the dialogue, you're editing the scenes. That bit about human authorship matters legally and culturally. It makes a strong case for transformative use. Certainly stronger than AI-generated outputs. So I think, ironically, as AI faces more scrutiny, handcrafted machinima may look actually more defensible. Ironically, not less defensible. But it's the commercialization of it where I think the risk increases. Non-commercial fan films, YouTube machinima, I think is likely to have quite low to moderate risk, say. But anything that's monetized, we're going to sneeze. Anything that's monetized, anything that's anyone that's sort of selling a standalone work using game IP or using game characters to train AI models for their own purposes. I think that's where you're going to be at high risk from being pursued. I think the Disney OpenAI deal suggests IP holders are going to be especially sensitive when their assets are used as tools, not just for inspiration. So if your machinima competes with official content, uses any kind of premium characters heavily, or is branded in any kind of confusing way, that's when you're going to start to draw more attention. On top of that, the platform rules will begin to matter much more than they have in the past. As we've said many times now, there is a quiet but important shift towards platform enforcement where, for example, YouTube, TikTok, Steam Workshop are all basically tightening their policies. Some of that will come from game studios pressuring platforms without suing creators, and others are likely to be panicked by AI, which is clearly accelerating the better safe than sorry moderation strategies that we're going to be seeing take even greater effect. And that means machinima creators might feel constraints before laws actually change. It could mean that studios will push licensed fan creativity models through official creator programs even more than they have in the past. It could make things like, for example, revenue sharing more explicit by saying, for example, you can do this, but you can't do that. So those kind of rules are going to be more evident, I suspect, and more tools could be provided by the IP owners, which, that all might be a plus. But for example, I suspect the bad news will be that there's going to be less freedom for creators outside of those kind of boxes. I think what machinimators should realistically do now is basically emphasize originality, and that's in their story, in their commentary, that kind of thing. They should certainly be adding very clear disclaimers, not official fan work, for example, or unofficial fan work, rather than, making claims about this is using content from X game. I think they've got to diversify away from IP, or certainly one IP, and keep backups and mirrors of the work as well to avoid training AI models on copyrighted game assets. Definitely try and not do that. They certainly should think about how they're selling standalone works built entirely on somebody else's IP. Using characters in ways that damage brand reputation is definitely going to trigger takedowns the fastest. But obviously, this Disney OpenAI deal isn't about fan creators. I think, though, it does signal a world where IP owners are going to want more control as the technologies begin to scale creativity. Yeah, so I think, it'd be fair to say Disney in its approach has always been more alert, more strategic. It's always been less tolerant of edge case rights, which is going to mean that, ambiguity in content created where there is a recognizable asset similar to a Disney one is much less safe than it was, say, 10 to 15 years ago. I think safer inspiration is going to be things like emotional tone, broad fairy tale structure, archetypes and whatnot, moral world views. Those are things that you can kind of draw inspiration from Disney assets, and draw the inspiration from. But riskier ones are definitely going to be anything that looks or sounds or feels like a Disney character or parallels some kind of known arc in the story. I mean, we all know that Disney characters are really highly distinctive. I think framing that work is also going to become ever more important. Using phrases like Disney style is going to become tricky. Anything with a hashtag on it is going to become quite tricky. I think that, all of that's going to be much more difficult to do in the future with the ripple effect from this kind of deal. I think the more your project looks like a product, the less inspiration you can say could be taken from Disney as an argument that basically will protect you from the sense of it being laundered in some way. But basically, the advice from my analysis is you need more distance, more originality, and more intentional framing than ever you have in the past. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on that. I dare say you both got comments. I think this is a
I've
particularly important one to have a look at, though.
Yeah, I've been since this was announced, spent some time thinking about it. This so basically the idea of this deal is Disney are going to be allowing fans to create AI generated videos with the Sora, and those videos will go onto Disney Plus, the Disney streaming channels. So we need to explain how that actually works. Like that's where these videos are going to go, is onto
Yeah,
Disney Plus.
so it's controlled distribution.
Right. It will last a year, and that's the main reason for that is um Disney obviously owns Star Wars and they own Marvel, both are franchises that have really struggled recently with the official productions, and this year for both of them is really big um, for them because they're trying to relaunch both franchises to try and re-get that hype and interest that has um, wavered in the last few years because fans haven't been satisfied with the official releases. So we've got the Mandalorian and Grogu movie coming in May. And even though that's meant to be a big thing, there's not really been much to advertise it, which, as we record this is 4 months away. And we've had
Mm,
a teaser trailer that showed a random selection of footage and not much else. You'd think there'd be more to that by now. And then with Marvel, you've got a Spider-Man film, I don't know the exact date, but sometime in the summer with Tom Holland. And then the big one in December is the Avengers Doomsday, and they're bringing back so many of the old Avengers cast who we thought had moved on because the actors' contracts had expired and they weren't interested. So obviously they spent a fortune on this movie, and they've even brought back characters like Professor X and Magneto, played by Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen. So they're really trying to make this movie the big thing to revive Marvel. And the reason this AI thing isn't going to work because all it will take is a fan to create something that is better received than these big budget productions.
mm,
And that is probably going to happen.
mm.
Some fans is going to create maybe they'll take a moment from one of the comics, a famous Marvel comic, recreate that using the actors who played the characters in the AI, because the AI will have those images, so they'll be able to do that. Um, and when the Avengers film comes out, and I don't know if it's going to be a good film or not. I haven't seen it. I don't know anything about it. It may be fantastic, or maybe it will be a mess because they've one of the things that people have criticized it so far is they've got 27 major superheroes in it. That's a lot of characters to give a lot to in a 2 hour movie or 2.5 hour movie. So it's I don't know if it's going to be good or not, but I feel like that's too much. So it's going to be weak because you're trying to get through so much and it's not going to flow too well. That's my personal opinion of it. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's a really good film. But some fan is going to create uh, some kind of Marvel um, video and it'll be better received than the official one. And that's when Disney will pull the plug on this because
Yes, I
they
agree.
won't want to be spending millions and then some fan to come along and make something, oh, we want that. And the fan did it for free using the Disney Plus thing. And it'll be the same with Star Wars. Someone's going to make a Star Wars AI video because they'll have all the characters available to them. They can make a better, someone's going to make a, a video released on Disney Plus that's again probably going to be better received than The Mandalorian and Grogu or any of the other Star Wars productions that get released this year.
Mm.
And it's kind of inevitable that will happen. So no matter how good those two films I talked about, the official ones, some fan is going to make something that's going to be better received than both of them, and that's when Disney will say no.
So you
Now
think
there
this deal's not going to last too long then?
I think the deal will be in place, but what will happen is Disney will just say, well, we're not going to let fans have access to this anymore, so they'll just pull the plug, and then they'll probably have to pay up to OpenAI some kind of penalty for
Mm.
pulling the contract. But in Disney's eyes, they'll probably think that is worth paying because it's if fans are making something to their own AI platform that's better received than something they spent millions on, that's bad for Disney's image. So they will. Uh, my understanding is Disney's image is actually more important to them than profit, which profit is obviously very important to them, but their image is even more important to them. So anything that damages that, they will immediately shut it down. Like some of the films that have been released, um, they're not hugely successful. You'll never hear from them again. They're not available to watch. You can't buy them. You can't stream them. You won't find any official merchandise. It'll all just be taken off the shelves. Even if it's just thrown in a landfill somewhere, they will make that disappear. And that's the same thing will happen with this.
Mm.
So their move to it's almost like they're trying to productize the
Hmm.
output of the AI that uses their material by I assume that when you say it's going to be on Disney Plus, it'll be that's the only place it's legally shown, right?
Yeah. So I imagine someone could download it off Disney Plus and put it
Oh,
on
they
YouTube.
will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but um,
But they have ways
they'll
of
find that and
tracking
take it
that
down.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Um,
but yeah, whatever content is created, I think this they'll have some kind of software or app or whatever, and it will automatically put that onto Disney Plus. There'll probably be an AI channel that you can click on, and it'll
yeah.
show you
It's
stuff.
a strange move because like I don't
Mm.
know, it feels more like just a meaningless flourish to do that than an actual I say the word productize, but like what monetary value does that really have for them? Nobody's gonna no, I can't foresee that somebody's going to subscribe to Disney Plus just so they can watch an AI creation on there, right?
No,
There,
I
No, but
think.
it's
the
so it's
money they're
for
getting
existing
is
subscribers, but
yeah, but
I
the
have to
I don't
money
admit,
know.
they're
It's
I'm
a
not
getting is
gonna.
weird, it's a
licensing
weird
the
move.
characters, isn't it? It's not what the content creators do with it. It's how they are making money out of the licensing process.
Well,
Yeah,
there's a big thing about all the streaming TV shows, all the stream shows and movies cost a fortune to make, and that bubble's kind of burst a bit because
Mm.
it launched when COVID started. Like Netflix and Disney Plus really took off then because people were at home and they had nothing to do. So streaming became a huge thing, and obviously when that passed and people went back to work and to school and cost of living hit, cancellation subscriptions were cancelled because people had other things to spend their money on, and belts had to be tightened and stuff like that. So streaming has gone down, which means they were throwing a fortune at creating all these big budget things that people aren't watching. So the return on investment just isn't there. So
Mm.
I think someone at Disney was thinking, well, if we let fans make stuff, that's instant content. It doesn't cost us anything. But they're
I
not
think the
thinking,
deal is vulnerable from another direction too, and that is you figure on the Sora side of things, they're going to be looking at how can we justify this expense?
hmm,
Are we getting additional subscribers to ChatGPT slash Sora because of this deal? And if they can't quantify that and see that people are signing up for Sora so they can make Disney AI stuff, then it's not worth it for them either, you know? So
yeah,
yeah, I think the deal is pretty fragile.
Mm.
yeah.
It's quite a gamble. You know, I guess we'll have to wait and see how
Mm.
it turns out.
I have to
I
admit,
don't know. A lot of the other ramifications, you know, taking caution with, you know, kind of banking your creative direction on someone else's IP. I don't, it feels kind of like that's it's old news, kind of, you know. I mean, I
yeah.
guess if there's a sense that they're going to crack down more now than they already have, then yeah. But yeah, it's an interesting experiment that they're doing. I don't quite see the math to it, how it can possibly $1 billion deal. I mean, good grief.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's a lot of hooch
Mm.
to shell
Um,
out for an industry that really
Mm.
I don't know, the only people making money on AI are the AI companies. And I guess that's really what this is that Disney says you're going to give us a slice. And as a result, we're not going to make your life more difficult, you know, by suing you.
Yeah,
That's really
exactly.
what this is. It's a settlement
yeah.
to not go after them for what they've already done. Because they've already gone and scooped all this stuff up. And so Sora looks at it as well to try and purge all that from our training or to retrain, God forbid, and set ourselves back. That's worth $1 billion.
Mm.
Well,
But
even if they
but I don't see how anybody's going to be actually making money from this deal. This is really a legal settlement just packaged as some kind of agreement. But
well, even if they did say, I don't know how these the data sets work, but even if they could go and say delete all the Disney stuff, the bots that go out and scrape it just going to do it again. They're just going to find the material and they'll do it again. So it
yeah,
can't.
because their method of acquiring training food is consume everything, right?
Yeah,
It's the internet. The
yeah.
internet is open by default, and yeah, so
Even if they said don't scrape anything off Disney Plus, well, there's pirate sites the bots are gonna download stuff from the official stuff from there as well. So you can't really avoid it.
yeah. And it's not as easy to, I don't think that presently it's as easy to detect use of visual information in the same way that it is to detect audio. Audio, they can now detect stuff down to like the level of a sample. You have even just a small sample of commercial audio in your audio, and they'll find it. But I
Yeah,
think visual is harder.
I had that with
Yeah.
one of my videos. I used a sound effect. I think it's some wind or something like that. I can't remember. It was just the sound effect. Some musician used the same sound effect in his song, and YouTube picked that up and issued me a thing saying using the copyrighted material from this song. But it wasn't. It's just the same sound effects because I
It's
went and
even
found the
more
song.
it's
Yeah.
even more sophisticated than that now too. It's because I did a video a year or two ago, a little over a year ago, I guess. And in it, I sang a cover tune of King of Pain by the Police.
Hmm.
It's completely fresh recording. There's no audio from their song in it at all. I basically performed it and then sang it with different lyrics, kind of like a Weird Al type of
Yeah.
approach, right? And YouTube didn't have a problem with it for some reason, but when I tried to upload that to TikTok, it caught it right away
Hmm.
and dinged me for the copyright. It detected a cover tune
Hmm.
because it was similar enough. So it's way more sophisticated than just listening for or digitally comparing. It can actually
Mm.
detect song structure.
Yeah.
So audio's come a long way in that regard. Video, I would think, is much more challenging to know whether or not Woody from Toy Story is in a video.
Mm.
That's a nuance
Yeah.
that's tough. But I think they'll get there eventually.
So do I.
Then that's when enforcement can really clamp down. Right now, they don't have any additional enforcement mechanisms. They can declare, hey, this is no longer, but they're in the same boat that they are right now, which is it's there's no way to police it yet. But I don't think that that should lull anyone into a sense of safety with dabbling with this commercial IP because believe me, they're working on that.
Hmm.
They're working on being able to detect it, and as soon as they can, they will. If it's something friendly like YouTube's revenue sharing option that most music has, if you use commercial audio, then if the if the record company has made the appropriate deal as part of that deal with YouTube's system, then they'll allow you to use it without a copyright strike, but you share revenue.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, the thing that I
that's
had
what happened on YouTube with that cover song I was talking about. It's a
right.
revenue share thing, but they allowed me to use it. So,
With my thing with the sound effects, I disputed it. Say, well, it's just because I found the song and listened to it, and I thought, I see what this happened here. I disputed it, and then YouTube said, oh, that's fine. We'll just delete that and don't worry about it. Um,
oh, that's cool
yeah,
because
but
there are false positives for sure.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's just because the same sound effect. It was I
Mm.
hadn't lifted it off their song or anything. I'd never even heard of them before. Um, but yeah, so anyway, going back to this Disney thing. Yeah, as a service, it won't be available for more than about a year, I think, once they see the impact of someone making a film that's better received.
Yeah, I think
Mm.
both sides will have reason to object to it. Yeah, it's a costly deal.
Yeah.
Mm.
As personally, I would not like when the AI menu comes up on the Disney Plus when they launch it, I'm not going to click on it because I don't want to watch that. I want to watch the official stuff.
Right.
And I've noticed a lot of fan reactions to things now is a massive rejection of AI content.
We talked about this months ago on the
Yeah.
show. We
Yeah.
discussed it that this wave of revulsion was going to come. And some of it is because I think that the instance that we discussed was there's going to be instances where you see something and you think it's real, and then you find out it's not. People don't like that.
No.
Mm.
People do not like that. And it will create this pushback. And it's happening particularly among people a lot younger than us. The sentiment is very strong.
Yeah.
There was a video game that swept one of the game awards in the past few months.
Yeah,
Clair Obscura
that's it.
Expedition 33, I think is the full title of the game. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful game. It's an amazing story. Like it sounds really impressive. And word got out that in their pre-production, they used some generative AI to research and kind of ideate, if that's the word. Word of that got out, and the guy didn't deny it. The CEO didn't deny it. And they ended up pulling awards from the game,
Oh,
Yeah,
and there was the
one of
huge
the
fan
images.
backlash.
Yeah, one of the images made it through release by mistake. Like as a
Right.
background image or a loading screen or something like that.
Something
They forgot to take
very
it out.
inert.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
And
there's a
the reaction in the amongst indie game developers in particular, it is like there's hostility
mm.
yeah.
toward it.
There's
Another interesting development there too. Sorry, Damien, go ahead.
well, I was gonna say there's a Star Trek game coming out in a few weeks that's based on Voyager. And the idea is you're the captain and you have to get the ship home and you're managing the crew and basically reliving the series, but making your own choices about how events. So you can go in completely different directions. So people asked, "Are you going to get the original cast from the show to voice the characters?" And they said that no, because we've got so much text in the game that it would cost an absolute fortune. Because we're a small indie studio, they can't afford to bring all those people back. And so um, they said, would you like us to use AI for that? And the massive reaction was no, we'd rather read than listen to synthetic voices. And which the developer said, we're really glad you said that because we didn't actually want to use AI, but we thought we'd better ask because we know that the fans of the show expect
It's good
to
that
hear
there's
those voices.
that's good because there's a conversation, you know.
Yeah.
It is
Um,
good. That's what this is ultimately going to be, I think, for
Mm.
developers is a negotiation with the fan base. And if they're
yeah.
open about it like that, I think that will yield a better outcome
Yeah.
than
Mm.
trying to hide it or it in Clair Obscura's case, I mean, it's a small team of indie developers, and they were very open about it, and still they got
Yeah.
dinged. Now the game's going to do fine because it's the reviews are just ridiculously good.
It's been out
It's
for about a year now, so
yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful game and an amazing story. Really unconventional story for a video game. Tracy, you'd be interested to read up on it. Maybe
I will.
you can
Yeah.
find a video that just talks about what the game is actually about. It's extraordinary,
I need to play it.
extraordinary. Yeah, it's on my wish list. Yeah. Another interesting development related to AI and legality and fan reaction is Darren Aronofsky, who's
Mm.
a well-known director, um, is getting ready to release. I can't remember which, if it's on one of the streaming platforms or maybe one of the television networks, but it's a limited series on the events of the American Revolution. 17 it has 1776 in the title, but I don't remember what the actual title is. And it is uh, it uses um, Screen Actors Guild voice actors, like legitimate real voice actors, but all of the video is generative AI, and
Oh.
it's an official production. And I mean, Twitter/X is not really the best representation of the world's view,
Mm.
but amongst the maybe more technically savvy or plugged into that world, it is. A lot of artists are on there, and the reaction is just savage. Just, you know, the first post that I saw mentioning it, the person who was reposting it says, "I hope this destroys his career."
Oh.
Just wishing all kinds of evil on him. Now, people
But
have
but he's
varied
been
opinions on Aronofsky and whether, you know, there's people who think he's a hack and there's people who think he's a genius, but these are people who apparently liked him and are saying this is disgusting. I can't believe you would do this. And so yeah, it's a really there's a lot of turmoil
but
and a
he's
lot of kind
been
of gut.
very supportive of the development of the tool for Runway, and he's been on he's been one of their judges on
So
their.
it shouldn't have surprised people, but
No,
apparently it
not at
did.
all. It shouldn't have
Yeah.
been a surprise that he'd been
But I
experimenting
saw
with
the
it.
trailer for the show. It looks like generative AI, it's
Yeah, that's the
shot
He
of person
difficulty.
sounds
talking, shot of person talking, wide shot, shot of person talking.
he
It's
sounds
there's nothing
so
groundbreaking
enthusiastic.
about it at all, except that he did a Sims 2 edit on it. He cut out the goopy stuff. But it's not anything more impressive than what we've seen regular old schlubs like us do with generative AI. It's
Mm.
still just what it is. So I don't know how well it will do.
I can tell from the way you described that you're so excited to watch it.
I'm
You're
not.
not you're not
Yeah,
really selling it, Phil,
I'm
is
not.
No,
I've
yeah,
kind of decided that for myself because I've used some generative AI and stuff here and there. But I'm sure there's people out there right now saying, "I hope it ruins your career." Good luck.
Oh,
Good luck with that because what career, right? But I've kind of decided that as I kind of ride the fence on this thing and try to see both sides of it, that for me, the only useful purpose of generative AI is satire on the topic. Like that's where I just feel at home with it. So I like it when it's weird. I like it when it's broken. I'm not interested in it being something to be mistaken for realism. I want it when it's just stupid. I
yeah.
think it's hilarious. So, and not to the point of where it's, there's slop where it's like, making some overweight girl fall off a cliff when she's bungee jumping or something. There's all kinds of just horrific uses to it. Fake skateboarding accidents that are just like something out of GTA, just horrible. I'm not interested in that, but it just in the silly side of it, I guess. And once it's not silly anymore, I will lose interest because to me it's just it's got comic value maybe in
Hmm.
certain cases. So
but when you want to
anyway,
see something with a good story, you want it to be handcrafted by real
oh, of
people.
course, yeah, no, I want yeah, I want something with a good story. That's really all you have to say, and
Hmm.
generative AI is not really part of the picture,
No.
in terms of generating the story.
Yeah.
There's obviously people who are great storytellers who happen to use that as their presentation method, and that's great. What's the name?
Neural
The guy we
viz.
Neural Viz, yeah. And again, it's weird, but he's leaning into the weird. It's his stories are weird, so it's
Yeah.
perfect. His
Yeah.
dialogue is weird,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. All right, well let's talk about a few other things here. There is a tool that I stumbled upon. It's currently in its beta, I believe. So like it's not fully released yet, but this company has released some other tools in the same vein. It's called Portrait Studio Pro. The company's name is HAELE 3D, I think, HAELE.
Okay.
And their specialty in their tools seems to be tools that are designed for generating good reference images for artists who draw. So they've got one that focuses on hands, and basically it's a character poser, so to speak, but one that looks very versatile and reminds me a lot of iClone's posing tools. And this Portrait Studio one, when it's fully released, will have a fully rigged body character that you can pose the skeletal thing. And its primary use is for creating these poses to have a reference image for drawing. But the detail that caught my attention was that when this tool is out of demo mode and is full, it's going to have an FBX export
Oh.
option
Hmm.
with the rigging, with the poses. So my mind immediately went to, okay, so iClone has some very interesting pose to pose animation tools that you can do. And sometimes that's the best way to get a particular animation is just to have these keyframed poses, and then you can change the transition curves between them and create some interesting animations. So I thought, well, this one I got to keep an eye on. And I tried the demo. The demo is very crippled. Like there's only a couple models and a couple fixed poses that you can do. But the demo, the video shows off some of the features that will be in the full one. And when talking about it, they talk about that there is an export option planned. So I thought, well, let's keep an eye on that because that could be an interesting, for me, not as a standalone tool that doesn't have any value, but as an alternative way to maybe get some poses into iClone. It looks like it might be in some ways easier to use than sometimes it is in iClone when you're using the motion edit tool to do stuff. So I'm gonna keep an eye on it and we'll keep you posted on that. I took some screenshots while I were in there because it has a pretty decent, halfway decent lighting engine in there. And nothing, I mean it's nothing more impressive than you could get out of iClone itself, but I'm sure it will be a less expensive tool, much less expensive tool than iClone when it's out. So it's one to keep an eye on.
On a similar note, it's not going to have any of the 3D side to it, but if any artists who are interested in a tool like that just for drawing the practice, a friend of mine has a website called Line of Action, which I just put in our show notes. And basically it's photos of people and animals and shapes and in different poses. Some are faces, some are full body, some are just hands and so on. And the whole site is designed to help people practice their drawing. So I thought I'd just share that as well. The site is complete. I'm sure more pictures get added all the time, but you're never going to have that. It's not a 3D model thing where you can post a character or anything like that. It's just for artists to draw from. But I thought I'd mention it because anyone listening who might find that interesting. So
Yeah, very cool. So there are other ways of getting motion into these environments that we like to use to create stuff. And the one that we've talked about many times is video mocap. Obviously, there's the full motion capture suit, and tools like that, which are most likely in most scenarios going to give you the best result, certainly the most accurate result. But video mocap is an interesting innovation that lowers the barrier for entry to that because the suits are quite costly.
Yeah.
So
Quite tricky to use.
And they take some skill to learn how to use them as well. But I mean, the cost is substantial, and I don't see that changing in the future. I mean, it's a very sophisticated piece of equipment. It's not going to suddenly no one's going to suddenly just come up with some cheap way to that because it's a physical thing. It's very sophisticated. So
the suits we're talking about now are the cheap ones.
Yeah,
Those are the cheap ones compared to the ones
the
that are hundreds
Rococo.
of thousands.
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, video mocap is an interesting way to get motions in another way as well. Most of those are not free, but they're certainly more affordable than hiring out a motion capture studio. There are several of those around the world. Those can be quite expensive. Last time I looked at it, I think it was around $2,000 a day for a full day's work, and you can basically James Martin, I think, is involved with something like that. He's one of the early innovators related to iClone. But those are, again, that's an expense that maybe makes sense for a funded production studio, but for indie creators, that's out of reach.
You'd be better off buying your suit because that's 2 days worth, and then you can use it as much as you like.
That's right. That's right. So, in the area of video mocap, I found a video by a guy. I watch pretty much everything that he produces. He just goes by the name of Freedom. I think he hails from the Philippines. I'm not certain that I've got that right, but he's somewhere out in the Far East, and his whole channel is just tutorials, all centered around the ecosystem of iClone and sometimes Blender and all of those things. they tend to be very practical in nature. He goes pretty quick sometimes, but that's what the pause button is for. Um, and the accent might take a little of training of your ear to get, but once you get it, he's very well spoken, very clear communicator, and really knows his way around the software. I don't know how he makes a living. He's doing enough of these videos to where this is a full-time thing for him. I don't know if he's just making the money off of the YouTube revenue or what, but either that or he's just extremely generous. But I watch almost all his videos because inevitably there's something, little tip or trick or something that I pick up. Well, he put one out that was pretty interesting where he basically was using the video mocap feature that's built into iClone that we've talked about in a previous episode. And he used it to video mocap motion from a video capture of a video game. And I think the example that he uses is one of the combat video games where it's, two fighters posed side by side. And he basically shows the whole process of he snips out this footage and then runs it through the iClone thing and it captures the animation. So it was just a very interesting, almost a meta mocap moment where he didn't even have to perform the motion himself on camera. He actually was able to capture just the raw motion of a character that someone else
Yeah.
had mocap animated. So it was pretty fascinating. So we'll include a link to that in that video in the shorts. But I recommend his channel if you're in this space and just want to watch stuff that kind of triggers ideas of new ways to get things done. He's a good resource for that.
I've tried that
I
plugin. Have you tried
yeah,
it?
I tried it a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I found that you need a lot of space because
Yeah.
you
You
need
need to
space
get
if
the
you're
whole
wearing a
body.
suit, but you need more space for the camera actually because yeah, as soon as your foot goes off frame, it breaks very
Yeah.
badly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It goes weird.
So the most successful one that I did was to have a character. So the scene I'm going to describe is not what I actually did. The
Okay.
character is running across the top of a building, jumps off it, and lands on top of someone else, knocks them down, grabs them, punches them, and pulls a gun to shoot at them. So,
So simple, right?
yeah, actually, that's the. I tried various things, and that's the one that came out best. The
Oh
what?
God.
Yeah, I was trying to like conversation things, but what's happening is because like if my arm goes behind my body, it loses track of it. It gets weird. But because I was moving constantly, it was able to figure out what was happening. Um, so I played both characters. So the one that he falls down, that broke quite a bit. My solution to that was to act out the scene against the wall rather than on the floor,
Mm.
and then just rotate the character 90 degrees, and that made all the difference. And it wasn't because part of my body wasn't, well, I guess because I was on the floor, part of it, my arm would be obscured by my body and things like that. But even though there's the same thing against the wall, I guess maybe at a slightly better angle or something. But
Mm.
that worked. And what I actually did, instead of jumping off the roof of a building, I jumped off a footstool and then just made it look like it was a bigger jump than it really was. Um, it came out really well, but again, space is an issue.
Sure.
I could do the same thing in a motion capture suit in the same space and not have to worry about being in frame. I did try
Right.
and do like the golem crawling along the floor, and that didn't work because again, one of my arms and legs is always going to be obscured by my body when I'm in that kind of pose. So it didn't work for that.
Right.
And of course, I don't have a lot of floor space, so being able to crawl around it and stay in frame is extremely difficult. If I was wearing the suit, I can do that because it doesn't matter about any bit of furniture that's in the way. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's that. But if you had a big space, like you could do it outside if the weather's nice. And hopefully you don't get, if you're in a public space, you don't get too many strange looks when you're doing something like jumping off a building. Um,
It's just mad.
no, but yeah, I can see the potential for it. And I quite liked it, but you just be aware of its limitations of what it can and can't do, and you'll learn that as you're using it.
Well, fortunately, there is yet another method that is emerging for creating 3D motion that doesn't involve any suits or cameras.
Hmm.
And that is something that really this was inevitable that it come, but it's now here, and or at least is on the precipice of being here, and that is text to motion.
Yes.
It's a thing. It's an amazing thing.
Mm.
And basically, this is Cartwheel is the name of the company, and the feature, which I don't think has rolled out yet, but is like on the verge, is called Swing. And basically, that's one of the options that you'll find on their website, and you can type in a text description of an animation, and then it will perform it, and you can export it. If you have the right plan, you can export it as FBX and bring it into to whatever your platform of choice is. There's a demonstration video of it, and it's quite amazing.
Mhm.
Quite amazing what can be done. So because it's not available yet, I have not gotten to test it, but I will do so and get back to you here. But that's an interesting thing because okay, so even if you've got a motion capture suit, or even if you've got a camera and the space to use it, if the motion that you want done isn't something that you're physically capable of, then that's yet another problem, right?
That's
Like jumping off a
absolutely a
building.
problem.
Like
Yeah.
jumping off a building, right?
Or doing a
So,
backflip.
right. Or just, I'm thinking like I have no idea how Ben Tuttle does the
Yeah.
not so much in his Bond film, but in one of his previous films, there was some basically kung fu type stuff going on.
Mm.
If he's trained in that and does it himself, I'm impressed. Color me impressed. But doing stuff like that when you are not trained for that or just don't have the physicality to be able to do that, this could be an interesting avenue. Now, obviously, there's always you can go find existing motions. iClone has an incredibly large motion library, and you can actually purchase individual motion sequences for a very reasonable price. And this is not, Swing with Cartwheel is not going to be free either. It's probably going to function on a credit system that we're familiar with other
Yeah.
forms of generative AI because there's processing power involved to create this stuff. So there's a cost. But I think it could be, if used wisely, it could be a pretty reasonable cost. We'll see.
Mm.
So that's something to keep an eye on. So Swing by Cartwheel, that's one we'll be watching for. So I think the only other thing to mention today is is a new game that has been a long time in the making, but it is finally released. It's still in considered early access, but it's a mostly fully functional game. It's called Hytale, Hytale. This is if you see any of the videos for this game, or if you try it, you're going to say, "Well, this looks quite a bit like Minecraft." It's not a coincidence. Um, so the developers behind Hytale are a group called Hypixel. And if you're at all involved with Minecraft, you've probably heard that name because Hypixel operates, I believe, the most widely used and popular public server for playing Minecraft in multiplayer scenarios. They're huge, just millions and millions of participants. And they've been operating that for a decade, and are quite successful with it. Well, about, I want to say maybe 8 years ago, they announced that they're going to take some of the profits from that and start up a development team to make their own sandbox-like game, but taking things in a little bit different direction and maybe doing some things that they wish Minecraft would do, but doesn't seem like Minecraft is doing. And that's how the project was born. And it was when it was originally announced, it was talked about as something that, yeah, we'll see in about 2 or 3 years, we should have something playable.
8 years.
Well, it's been a bit longer than that, yeah, and it kind of fell into like the rumors that went around for the Duke Nukem Forever game, where it was kind of became a joke that this game is never going to be released, right? It finally did, but it was late. So, and that seems to be the case here as well. And the response publicly amongst fans of that type of game has been overwhelmingly positive. Like it's even I think more than anyone expected. You would kind of expect that with that kind of delay, there's always a chance that people will just go, just forget it. And then even when you do arrive, they're like, who cares? But it's been very well embraced. A lot of big streamers have picked up on it. Even Asmongold, one of the biggest guys on Twitch right now, I believe, played it and loves it. And so it's kind of exploded in this popularity. All that's interesting if you're into a Minecraft type game. If you like Minecraft, you'll probably enjoy this game. It's prettier graphically. It's I would describe it as a little bit more casual in the feeling of it. Like it's not Minecraft can be pretty intense if you're playing survival. There's a lot out there that can really easily kill you, you know, and the consequences of getting killed are like ferocious. You know, you lose all your inventory and you're taken somewhere. So they've kind of softened some of the edges on that for the gameplay, and it's a more relaxed experience. But the thing that's really interesting about it is that it has built-in machinima tools, actually called machinima tools, like they use the word. It's a menu item in the creative mode of the game, and a whole set of console commands for manipulating the environment. There are scriptable cameras and scriptable actors. It's all keyframeable, all within the game. And it's still in its very early stages, but I've played with it, and it is quite remarkable. Like it is, I've never seen anything quite like it out of the box. And the fact that it's early access and they're still building that out, it's pretty incredible. And it's kind of neat to see a developer that is from day one devoted to that. It's not an add-on. It's not, okay, now that the game is out, here's some tools, have at it. That developers have done that for years and we're grateful for it. But this is part of the game. Like it's part of the actual, it's not an extra module that you launch. It's built right into the game. If you go buy Hytale right now for, I don't know, there's various license levels, but I think the lowest is like $20. You've got it. You've got the full set. Now, again, it's not finished, so there's parts of it that don't quite work right yet, but we're talking about camera features that Hugh Hancock would have salivated over.
Yep.
It's not just linear keyframed camera movements. You can adjust the spline. You can do Bezier curves of the camera. It's incredible, and it's all built into the game. So now you're never going to be able to make something that looks like Grand Theft Auto in this game because, you know, the aesthetic of the game is what it is. It's kind of cartoonish. The lighting is beautiful in the game, but I mean, it's a sandbox game. It's a glorified Minecraft. So that's, if there's a limitation to it, that's what it is. But it's pretty incredible. The fact that the character models of all of the what are called mobs, all the creatures in the game, the NPCs, animals and humanoid, they're all rigged. They're all posable, animatable on this keyframe timeline. The possibilities are just astounding.
Oh, well, we look forward to that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So, yeah, that's the news for this month.
Brilliant.
Actually, I'm going to mention one more thing. I was just thinking about it. This background behind me, you just got me think. You got me thinking about it just now as you were talking about Hytale. Because I was going to share that story as well, but you beat me to it. I haven't played it, so I don't know what it's like. But I did see that there were machinima
Yeah,
tools.
I've played it. I think when Tracy first posted, I said, yeah, I've played about 12 hours. Yeah,
I was quite surprised at that.
I've played quite a bit more than that since then.
Oh,
Not even
okay.
not even the machinima stuff, just enjoying the game. So because I haven't played Minecraft in years and I loved
I think it had
Minecraft.
been released only about 2 seconds, Phil, when I put it up. That's what you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah. I was on their email newsletter, so I got notified right when it came up and got it. Yeah. So
Right. So it's another platform that might be useful for machinima creators because you only just got me thinking about it because I like to record my animated backgrounds from games. And so I had Cyberpunk for quite a long time, and I thought it's about time I changed it. So a game I got for Christmas is called Surviving Mars, and the idea is you build a colony on Mars, and you can build it different domes, buildings, and it's like SimCity but in space, basically. And there's a photo mode in it, which is great. And this is how I did this. But as you were talking, I remembered that when you take the photo, there's an option to unpause the game. So you've got the full camera control, the depth of field, and you can make move it around and everything. It's not as in depth as the Hytale one. You can move the camera around, but you have to do it manually. So you've got that manual control, but you can't program it to do anything like that. But it's still a pretty powerful tool, and you can line up the camera where you want it, and you can practice it when it's paused, and then you can record it with OBS, which is what I did, and then you've got some nice Mars footage.
It's like an animated matte painting almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I put there's like a lot of photo modes have a frame so you can put like an image on it, and this has several different options like postcards and things. But one of them's a window, which is what I used here. So it looks like I'm in front of a window with Mars out behind me. You can turn that off, so you just got the full frame video footage, which is if you're going to make a film, you probably want that. Um, but I just thought worth mentioning that it's there as a tool. Hang on.
Yeah, shoot
So
us a link to that. We'll include it in the show notes. That'd be great.
yeah, I got it through Steam, so it's on there.
Super.
I'll put it in the show notes, and then people can play around with it. You don't have a huge amount of control over things happening, like things about building, and there are people and robots you can move around a bit, but they have their own minds, so they'll go off and do their own thing. So um, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if anyone does anything with it.
Mm.
I'm just realized I skipped my first two items by mistake here, so I'll include them here at the end. There's a couple quick mentions that we wanted to make. One is for our dearly departed friend Frank Fox.
Oh,
I've put
yes.
together a playlist of some highlights of his machinima stuff, and we'll include a link to that here. It's about 7 or 8 short films that he did. That's a nice representation of his work, and we want to make sure people get to see that. It's pretty
Oh,
neat
thanks for
stuff, and
that,
he was
Phil.
quite a versatile filmmaker across many different platforms. So, and it closes with there's this wonderful little short video I found. It's a live recording. It's not machinima. It's just him playing guitar when he was quite young, a younger band, probably sometime in the early 90s, I want to say, playing and singing Hotel California. And it's fantastic. The fidelity on the video is kind of low and stuff. It's like got almost like a home video kind of look, but it's just wonderful. And he had it up on his channel, so I put it up as well. The other thing I want to mention real quick is that there's a series here that we greatly loved the first episode of by Biggs Trek called Forbidden Planet. And
Mm.
the second episode of that, Forbidden Planet Children of the Krell, the second episode of that is out. And if you enjoyed the first, you'll like this one as well. It's fantastic. Yeah, so highly recommended.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
glad you brought this up because I completely slipped my mind entirely. Yeah, I need to watch the Big Trek New Forbidden Planet because I really enjoyed this first one, and I think that playlist is an excellent way to
Mm.
remember Frank
Frank.
his
Mm.
work that he did. And I need to watch that video of him playing because I'd be really intrigued to see.
He had long hair and everything, and his shirt's off. Yeah, he was a musician at heart for sure, through
Oh
and
yeah,
through.
yeah. But yeah, thank you for that. So yeah, that wraps up our news. For until the next time we do another news episode. If you've got any feedback about the stories we've talked about, and please send us an email at talk@completelymachinima.com, and you can check out show notes for the links of everything we talked about on the blog. And we'll be back next week with a film. So we'll see you then. Take care and see you soon.